Let me tell you something, my friends. When you think of power, when you think of courage, when you think of making the world stop and pay attention, you think of a strike that shakes the earth, and this time it was India. Yes, India's strike that shocked America. This is not just history, it's a lesson in strength, in discipline, and in never backing down. So listen carefully, because this is how champions are made. When we talk about the power of surprise, we are talking about a force that can break even the strongest walls without using sheer strength. Surprise is not about luck, it is not about chance. It is about strategy, patience, and striking when no one expects it. The greatest victories in history have always carried this one secret ingredient, the element of shock. When you walk into the arena of life, into the battlefield of competition, or into the stage of history, the one who can surprise the world is the one who leaves the deepest mark. Think about it. The opponent can be bigger, faster, stronger, richer, or more established, but if you bring the unexpected, you disarm them instantly. They are prepared for everything except the one move they never thought you would make. That is why surprise is more powerful than brute force. Brute force can be resisted. Surprise cannot. It gets inside the mind of your rival before your fist even lands. It freezes them, it shocks them, it forces them to react instead of act, and that is where dominance is born. In the story of nations, in the story of great leaders, and in the story of personal success, the power of surprise has changed everything. Think about the great underdogs who turned the tables, the ones who were written off as weak, as insignificant, as not ready for the fight. They did not win because they were expected to win. They won because they created shockwaves. They changed the rhythm, they broke the predictability, they shattered the script. When the world was reading page 3, they jumped to page 10, and everyone else was left gasping, how did this happen? Surprise comes from preparation, but also from discipline to stay quiet until the right time. It is the patience to train in the dark when no one is watching, to sharpen your sword when the enemy thinks you are asleep, to fuel your engine while the rest believe you are empty. Surprise is the art of silence before the roar. The world only sees the explosion, but they never see the fuse being lit in the shadows, and that is why it is so powerful. It makes you appear like an unstoppable storm that came from nowhere, when in reality, you were building it brick by brick. Surprise is also psychological. It does not just hit the body, it attacks the mind. When you deliver a strike that no one believed you could, it breaks their confidence. Suddenly, the giant feels small, the unbeatable feels vulnerable, the predator feels like prey. That single moment of shock creates doubt, and doubt is poison. Doubt spreads faster than fire, and once it enters your opponent's mind, they begin to crumble from within. The world respects strength, but it fears the unexpected. And when fear enters the game, the battle is already half won. Surprise is not reckless. It is not about random moves or chaos. It is a weapon of precision. It demands timing, clarity, and boldness. It demands that you know your target so well that you can strike at the exact second they least expect. Too early, and it loses impact. Too late, and the moment is gone. But at the right time, with the right strike, it creates history. Timing is what makes surprise into a weapon of power instead of just a gamble. The masters of victory are not those who fight the longest, but those who strike at the perfect time when no one sees it coming. And this is why surprise carries more weight than brute numbers. One single unexpected move can overturn the advantage of thousands. One daring decision can shake the confidence of entire empires. One bold strike can flip the balance of power. Surprise does not need permission. It does not wait for the world to be ready. It breaks in, it dominates, and it forces the world to recognize a new reality. And that is why the element of surprise is feared, admired, and remembered forever. Discipline before action is the foundation of every victory, every achievement, and every strike that changes the course of history. Without discipline, action becomes random, reckless, and weak. Discipline is the unseen force that shapes the strength behind every move. the fuel that powers the mind and body long before the decisive moment arrives. Many people admire the action, the explosion, the grand strike that shakes the ground, but very few understand the discipline that comes before it. Action without discipline is noise. Action with discipline is impact. Discipline is not glamorous. It is not the applause. It is not the headlines. It is not the celebration. Discipline is the early morning when you rise before the world, the long nights when you keep working while others rest, the sacrifices that no one applauds. Discipline is the choice to keep training even when you feel broken, to keep preparing even when victory seems far away, to keep your eyes on the mission when distractions are pulling you in every direction. It is the invisible work that makes the visible strike unstoppable. Every great warrior, every great leader, every great achiever has lived by this truth. The battle is won before it begins. It is won in the preparation, in the rehearsal, in the countless hours of discipline that build a mind and body ready for war. When the moment of action arrives, there is no hesitation, no panic, no doubt, because discipline has already done the hard work. Discipline builds confidence, and confidence turns into courage, and courage fuels the strike that changes everything. Discipline is also about control. The strongest fighter is not the one who throws punches wildly, but the one who knows when to wait, when to step back, and when to unleash everything in one perfect blow. Discipline is about patience, about not wasting energy on meaningless battles, about not letting emotions dictate the mission. It is the calm in the storm, the steel behind the silence, the order behind the chaos. Without discipline, even the most powerful army will collapse. With discipline, even the smallest force can shake the giants of the world. There is a difference between talent and discipline. Talent is given, but discipline is chosen. Talent may open the door, but discipline builds the foundation to walk through it with power. History is full of talented people who failed because they lacked discipline. They had strength, they had intelligence, they had resources, but they did not have the will to master themselves. On the other hand, the disciplined few, the ones who sacrificed comfort, the ones who stayed consistent, the ones who trained harder than anyone else, these are the ones who turned the impossible into reality. Discipline before action also means clarity of purpose. It means knowing why you are doing what you are doing. When your purpose is strong, your discipline becomes unshakable. You do not get distracted by comfort. You do not get weakened by fear. You do not get tempted by shortcuts. Discipline gives you the ability to say no when the easy path is offered, because you know the easy path will never give you the glory of victory. Every repetition, every step, every moment of struggle builds the edge that no enemy can take away. Discipline transforms chaos into strategy. It organizes the energy, sharpens the mind, and forges the body into a weapon ready for decisive action. When the disciplined individual moves, the world feels it. When the disciplined army strikes, empires tremble. It is the difference between a punch that glances off the surface and a punch that breaks the wall. It is the difference between noise that is forgotten and action that is remembered forever. Discipline creates focus, and focus multiplies the impact of every action. Discipline is also freedom. It frees you from doubt because you know you have prepared. It frees you from fear because you know you have endured worse. It frees you from hesitation because you know you are ready. The undisciplined mind is chained to weakness, always second, guessing, always retreating, always breaking under pressure. But the disciplined mind moves with certainty. It moves with power. It moves with the unshakable force of someone who has already fought 1,000 battles in silence before stepping into the arena. Unity creates immortality because when individuals stand alone, they may achieve greatness for a moment, but when they stand together, they create something that outlives them. One person can strike with power, but when millions move with the same heartbeat, they become an unstoppable force. Unity is not just about numbers, it is about purpose. It is about the merging of minds, hearts, and spirits into a single direction so powerful that no barrier can withstand it. The history of humanity is built on the moments when people chose to unite, when they put aside differences, when they stood shoulder to shoulder with one vision, and in those moments they became eternal. Unity multiplies strength in a way nothing else can. A single thread can be broken with ease, but a rope woven from countless threads can pull the heaviest load. One voice may be ignored, but a chorus of voices becomes thunder that shakes the skies. One soldier may fall, but an army that fights as one becomes immortal in memory. Unity transforms weakness into strength, fear into courage, and struggle into victory. It is the bridge that carries people from survival to triumph. The power of unity lies in its ability to erase limits. Alone, a person is bound by their own endurance, their own resources, their own vision. Together, people expand their reach, they extend their power, they share their fire, and they push beyond boundaries that once seemed impossible. Unity is not about losing individuality, it is about aligning individuality with a greater purpose. Each person remains unique, but when their unique strengths are added to the whole, the collective becomes greater than the sum of its parts. That is why united movements change the world while divided ones are forgotten. Unity also creates resilience. Battles are not won in a single strike, they are won through endurance, and endurance is born when people carry each other through the hardest moments. Alone, the weight of struggle can break you, but together, the same weight feels lighter because it is shared. Unity gives people the strength to rise after every fall, to fight after every loss, to continue when every signal says stop. The immortal spirit is not the spirit of one hero. It is the spirit of a united people who refuse to be broken. Immortality is not about living forever as flesh and blood. It is about living forever in memory, in inspiration, in legacy. Unity guarantees that legacy. When people unite for a cause greater than themselves, their actions echo beyond their lifetime. Their strike, their struggle, their victory becomes a story passed down to generations. They are remembered not just for what they did, but for what they stood for together. A single flame may burn out, but when flames unite, they create a fire so massive it cannot be extinguished. That fire continues to burn long after the original sparks are gone. Unity is also discipline of the collective. Just as an individual needs control before action, a group needs alignment before power. Without unity, a group is just noise, chaos, and confusion. With unity, the group becomes a machine of precision, a weapon of destiny. It takes discipline for people to set aside ego, pride, and division. It takes wisdom to realize that together they can achieve what none could achieve alone. When that discipline exists, unity becomes a weapon more powerful than any sword or missile. The fear of those who stand against unity is proof of its power. No empire, no ruler, no competitor fears a scattered people. They fear the moment when those scattered voices come together, when those divided hands join, when the weak unite into something unbreakable. That is the moment when the balance shifts, when the unstoppable force rises, when the world realizes that nothing can silence a united movement. Fear is not created by numbers alone, fear is created by unity of purpose. Unity creates immortality because even when the individuals are gone, the movement lives on. Even when the warriors fall, their spirit continues to march in the hearts of those who follow. Unity ensures that victory is not temporary, that impact is not forgotten, that sacrifice is not wasted. It takes what is fragile and makes it eternal. It takes what is mortal and gives it timeless strength. It carves names into history not as individuals but as a force that can never be erased. Fear turns into respect when power, courage, and determination are shown in a way that cannot be ignored. At first, fear comes from uncertainty, from the unknown, from the shock of realizing that something you underestimated is stronger than you imagined. But fear is only the beginning. When it is met with consistency, discipline, and undeniable strength, it transforms. The same fear that once created hesitation becomes respect that demands recognition. This transformation does not happen overnight. It happens through action, through proof, through the undeniable weight of results. Fear is an instinct. It is the first reaction when someone faces something that challenges their comfort zone, their security, or their control. When a strike comes unexpected, when a rival shows strength beyond imagination, when someone stands fearless in the face of impossible odds, the first thing that rises is fear. It is a natural response, a signal of danger. But fear does not last forever in its raw form. Fear is forced to evolve when it is met with undeniable dominance. At that point, the same fear becomes acknowledgement, and acknowledgement is the seed of respect. Respect is not given, it is earned. It is built when others see that your strength is not a one-time act, not a lucky chance, not an accident. Respect is built when fear turns into understanding that you are consistent, that your power is reliable, that your courage does not waver. People may fear a storm, but they respect the ocean because it is always there, always powerful, always vast. In the same way, fear may be a spark, but respect is the fire that keeps burning long after. When fear turns into respect, the balance of power changes. Those who once doubted begin to listen. Those who once ignored begin to pay attention. Those who once laughed begin to fall silent. Fear alone can create distance, but respect creates influence. When respect is established, it commands authority without even needing to shout. Respect is recognition of strength, of discipline, of mastery. It is the acknowledgement that you are not just a threat. You are a force that must be reckoned with. Fear without respect is fragile. It disappears once the threat is gone, but fear that grows into respect becomes permanent. It stays in the mind, it shapes decisions, it influences actions. That is why the strongest individuals, the strongest nations, and the strongest movements do not just aim to create fear. They aim to create respect. Fear may stop someone today, but respect will shape how they act tomorrow and every day after that. Respect lives longer than fear because respect is not just about danger. It is about admiration, acknowledgement, and acceptance of strength. Fear also tests courage. When someone chooses to stand tall in the face of fear, they transform how others see them. At first, there is resistance, doubt, even ridicule, but when they prove themselves with every strike, every action, every victory, people can no longer deny their power. The same ones who once feared begin to respect. This is how legends are made, by walking through fear until it transforms into respect, until no one can deny the greatness of what has been done. There is also a psychological transformation that happens in the one who creates fear. The knowledge that others fear them gives strength, but the knowledge that others respect them gives legacy. To be feared may make someone powerful for a time, but to be respected makes them eternal. Fear fades, respect endures. Respect is the ultimate outcome of demonstrating power with discipline, courage with wisdom, and victory with consistency. Respect is not about being liked. It is about being recognized as undeniable. People may not love the force that shook them, but they will respect it. They may not agree with the methods, but they cannot ignore the results. Respect comes when the strike is so powerful, so precise, so unshakable, that even the strongest rival is forced to bow in acknowledgement. That is the moment when fear has fully transformed into respect, when the world no longer doubts, when even enemies admit the strength they once resisted. Preparation breaks limitations because it takes what seems impossible and makes it achievable through relentless consistency. Every limitation is only a wall built by lack of readiness. When you prepare, you dismantle that wall piece by piece until nothing is left to stop you. The greatest athletes, leaders, and warriors do not rely only on natural strength or talent. They rely on preparation. They rely on the hours, the days, the months of work done long before anyone else is watching. The truth is simple: the body has limits, the mind has limits, but preparation requires both until new levels of possibility are unlocked. When people see a great strike, a flawless performance, or a decisive victory, they are witnessing the surface. What they do not see is the years of preparation hidden beneath it. Preparation is invisible to the outside world, but it is the engine that makes everything visible possible. Without preparation, talent collapses under pressure. Without preparation, strength fades when tested. But with preparation, even the smallest flame can grow into a firestorm capable of consuming giants. Limitations exist only in those who do not prepare. The person who says it cannot be done is the one who has not spent enough time preparing to make it possible. Preparation is the slow, grinding process of turning weakness into strength. It is the art of rehearsing the battle before the battle comes, of solving the problems before they appear, of sharpening the sword before the enemy stands in front of you. Each hour of preparation is a weapon stored, a shield polished, a fortress built. By the time the real test arrives, you are not limited by doubt or fear because you have already defeated them in training. Preparation also builds resilience. Challenges will always appear. Unexpected obstacles will always try to block the path, but the one who has prepared is never surprised. They adapt, they adjust, they find new ways to strike because they have rehearsed 100 possibilities in advance. Preparation does not remove obstacles, it removes the power of those obstacles to stop you. When others break down because they did not expect resistance, the prepared mind stays calm, focused, and ready. That is why preparation is the antidote to panic. It creates confidence under pressure. Every world record, every groundbreaking invention, every historic victory has come from someone who prepared beyond what was necessary. They did not wait for the opportunity to arrive. They created readiness so that when opportunity appeared, they could seize it instantly. Many people hope for big moments, but only the prepared ones can handle them. The unprepared see limitations and quit. The prepared see limitations and push through because they already trained for that exact moment. The difference between success and failure is not luck. It is preparation. Preparation is not glamorous. It is repetition, it is sweat, it is monotony, it is discipline in its rawest form. It is doing the same thing again and again until it becomes impossible to fail. That is how limitations are broken, not in one dramatic leap, but in thousands of consistent steps that build unshakable mastery. People often talk about talent as if it is magic, but preparation is the real magic. Talent gives you potential. Preparation turns that potential into power. Preparation also builds belief. When you know you have trained harder than anyone else, when you know you have sacrificed more, when you know you have pushed beyond comfort every single day, your mind carries a certainty that no opponent can take away. That belief is unshakable. It tells you that no matter how high the mountain is, you are ready to climb it. No matter how strong the rival is, you are ready to face them. No matter how heavy the weight is, you are ready to lift it. Belief is the product of preparation, and belief is the key that opens doors which once looked locked forever. Limitations are illusions until preparation exposes them. What looks impossible today becomes possible tomorrow if preparation is consistent. The body adapts, the mind adapts, the spirit adapts, and suddenly what was once a ceiling becomes the new floor to build upon. This is why preparation breaks limitations. It transforms the impossible into the inevitable. It does not happen in one day, but it happens every day when you choose discipline over comfort, repetition over distraction, and progress over excuses. Strength is more than muscles because true power is not only about how much weight you can lift or how hard you can strike. Muscles are important, they are visible, they are the physical evidence of effort, but real strength goes deeper. It is in the mind, in the heart, in the spirit. The strongest people in history were not always the biggest or the most muscular. They were the ones who could endure the longest, who could rise again and again, who could carry the weight of responsibility when others collapsed. Strength is not only measured in biceps and shoulders, it is measured in resilience, in focus, in willpower. Physical muscles give you the ability to perform, but mental strength gives you the ability to keep performing when everything seems impossible. The body gets tired, the body feels pain, but the mind can command the body to go further than it believes. That is why so many champions are forged not in the gym alone, but in the battles of the mind. The inner voice that says, keep going, when you want to quit, is more powerful than any muscle fiber. The discipline that forces you to rise at dawn, to repeat the same drills endlessly, to sacrifice comfort for progress, that is strength. Strength is also emotional. The ability to control fear, to master anger, to remain calm in chaos. This is strength that cannot be seen in a mirror, but can be felt in every action. Emotional strength keeps the warrior focused when the world is trying to distract him. It allows a leader to inspire others, even in the darkest hour. It allows a fighter to keep composure when everything is on the line. Without emotional strength, physical power is wasted. A man with great muscles but no control over his emotions is like a powerful engine without a steering wheel. Strength is spiritual as well. This is not about religion but about purpose, about the inner fire that tells you why you are fighting. When the purpose is strong, the strength multiplies. A person fighting for survival, for freedom, for family, or for nation carries a force greater than any muscle. Spiritual strength creates warriors who refuse to break because their cause is bigger than their own body. This is the kind of strength that makes ordinary people perform extraordinary feats, because they are driven by something higher than themselves. Strength is also about endurance. Muscles can make you powerful in a single moment, but true strength is proven over time. It is not about one punch, it is about fighting until the end. It is not about one great lift, it is about showing up every day, year after year, building consistency that no one can match. Endurance is strength that outlasts everything else. It is the ability to keep moving when the body screams stop, to keep standing when the storm is at its peak, to keep believing when hope seems lost. True strength is also found in adaptability. Muscles may help in one type of fight, but real strength is the ability to adjust, to evolve, to find new ways to win when the old ways no longer work. Life changes, challenges change, opponents change, and the strong are those who do not remain rigid but learn, grow, and adapt. That is why mental and emotional strength often surpasses raw physical power. Muscles can be defeated, but adaptability cannot. Strength is responsibility. It is the ability to carry not only your own burdens, but also the burdens of others. The strongest leaders are not the ones who dominate with fear, but the ones who lift others up, who inspire them, who protect them. Carrying responsibility requires more than physical power. It requires courage, patience, wisdom, and vision. A true display of strength is when a person uses their power not just for themselves, but for the people around them. Strength is tested not in comfort, but in crisis. When everything is going well, anyone can appear strong. But when failure strikes, when losses pile up, when pain seems endless, that is when real strength is revealed. Muscles may fail, but inner strength keeps moving. It is the quiet force that does not break, the silent determination that refuses to quit, the invisible energy that rises again and again, no matter how many times it has been knocked down. Strength is more than muscles because muscles fade with time, but true strength grows stronger with every challenge faced. The body may weaken, but the lessons of discipline, resilience, and purpose live forever. Physical power can win battles, but true strength, mental, emotional, spiritual, can win wars, build legacies, and inspire generations. Legacy is built on boldness because no one remembers the timid, no one celebrates the cautious, and no one is inspired by the ones who played it safe. The world remembers those who dared to step beyond the ordinary, those who risked, those who faced the unknown with courage. Boldness is the force that carves names into history. It is the difference between living quietly and leaving a mark so powerful that generations repeat your story. Legacy is not an accident. It is the result of bold decisions that others were too afraid to make. Boldness does not mean recklessness. Recklessness is blind, but boldness is vision combined with courage. It is the ability to see the opportunity where others see danger. It is the choice to act when others freeze. Boldness is knowing the risks but refusing to let the risks decide your destiny. Every leader, every warrior, every innovator who left a legacy was bold. They were not always the strongest, not always the smartest, but they had the courage to act when the world hesitated. That is why their names echo long after they are gone. Legacy is about impact, and impact demands boldness. If you follow the path that everyone else walks, you may be safe, but you will be invisible. To create legacy, you must create shock. You must challenge the normal, you must disrupt the predictable, you must dare to step where others refuse. Boldness is the spark that ignites movements, the strike that changes history, the action that forces the world to see things differently. Without boldness, even great strength and preparation remain hidden. Boldness is what brings them into the light. Boldness is tested in moments of uncertainty. When everything is secure, when the outcome is guaranteed, there is no need for courage. But when the future is unclear, when failure is possible, when the whole world is watching and doubting, that is when boldness defines you. Those who choose boldness in these moments write their names in the chapters of history. The timid disappear in silence, but the bold are remembered because they acted when others only talked. Legacy is not built by waiting for perfect conditions. Boldness is the ability to move when conditions are imperfect. The truth is, perfect conditions never arrive. There will always be risk, there will always be fear, there will always be uncertainty. The bold understand this and act anyway. That action is what creates breakthroughs, discoveries, revolutions. The cautious wait forever, but the bold create forever. Legacy comes from movement, not hesitation. Boldness also inspires others. One bold act can awaken courage in thousands. When someone dares to stand up, others who were silent find their voice. When someone dares to strike, others who are hiding find their strength. Legacy is not just what you achieve, it is the fire you ignite in others. Boldness is contagious, and the legacy of one bold act spreads far beyond the person who performed it. That is why movements are born, why nations rise, why impossible battles are won, because boldness multiplies. Boldness also brings resistance. The world does not easily accept those who step outside the line. At first, the bold are criticized, ridiculed, even attacked, but this is the test. If they stand firm, if they continue forward, the same critics eventually turn into admirers. Resistance becomes respect. Doubt becomes belief. Hatred becomes acknowledgement. Every legacy carries scars of resistance because boldness always challenges comfort, and comfort never gives up without a fight. Boldness transforms failure into fuel. The timid fear failure and never move, but the bold understand that failure is not the end. It is a teacher, a stepping stone, a forge that makes them stronger. Every legacy builder faced failure, but instead of stopping, they used it to sharpen themselves. Boldness is not the absence of failure, it is the refusal to be defeated by it, and because of that refusal, their names outlive their failures and stand as symbols of courage. Legacy built on boldness is not measured in possessions or titles. It is measured in how many lives were changed, how many barriers were broken, how many people were inspired to believe in more. Boldness creates a story so powerful that it is told again and again. long after the bold individual is gone. This is why legacy and boldness are inseparable. Without boldness, there is only existence. With boldness, there is immortality.